Good morning, guys. So, what have I been doing? I've been studying. So, I have my notes in front of me, y'all, and they change, it seems like, every test, simply because I kind of just change it up so um, I can be more effective on the next test. So, basically, where I am now, y'all, let me count the days. So we finished clinicals, as everybody knows, and let me see. We have one, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 days left of class, right? 10. That's 10 days. Now, when we started this thing off, of course, it was the whole year. A lot has transpired. Listen, and we got through it, y'all. We got through it. And so, um, what I'm looking at now within the 10 days, no more clinicals. We have two more exams and a final. And the way the school is if you don't pass the class in exams, you can't sit at the final. And this has been every semester, right? And so, with that being said, we only have lost one student throughout the whole year. So, that means a lot for our class. Um, and I'm so proud of everyone that has gotten this far, accomplished so much within a year. And y'all, I'm gonna say God has been so good. There has been so many things that has transpired, and but I'm grateful and I'm thankful. And one day I'll be able to share truly like how hard it has been for me this past year. But all in all, 10 days left. I'm in here studying for one of the two exams that are about to be completed. Um, Again, honors roll, AB honor roll. I will be awarded this weekend with that AB honor roll because when we graduate, the whole class and let me say the whole school will be graduating with their associate's degree. And so we will not be sectioned out in graduation. We will all be mixed in with other graduates. And so it's not necessarily like our graduation, it's more like the whole school. And so we will have our cords, we will have everything that we received for the year. But we just won't be singled out as nurses. We will just be as associate's degree. And so going through this transition, y'all, has been traumatic. And as you can see, I look like what I've been going through. And so um, a lot of it is just grace, y'all, grace and mercy. There's days where I'm up 24 hours. I know I've explained that already. And really what that looks like is going to school, getting out of school at 4:30, and then coming home, taking a shower, and going to work. And that is 7 p to 7 a. And then there's times where I have gone back to school after doing all of that. And then there's times where I just get to go home, take my daughter to school, and rest. But yeah, I've been up 24 hours at least twice a week. Ever since I started this new job. And there's been breaks every now and again. I did have a weekend off for my birthday, and so did go to school, but went to school on my birthday because I don't play that. But um, then I was able to go home and rest. Plenty of times I've studied. I want to say within a day, I will at least study at least 4 hours a day. If I have to go to work, I try to record like I say, I try to record what I consider my lecture and lecture to myself while I'm at work. But listen, y'all, this is not, it's not even school related. I just want to get on here and share, the journey that I have gone through, but not even just that, because it's just a small clip of these successes. And so, I just want to go back to my when I went for my interview, y'all, because right now I'm working at a local hospital as float pool, and a lot of you guys may see me there, and I love it there. I really do love it. Um, and I wanted to stay there because there was a part of me that wanted to go back to post acute because that's all I know as far as like hardworking people and people that I love. But I didn't want to be comfortable because, when I worked at Post Acute, they babied me. They babied me so much, and I love them for that. But here's the thing, when you get comfortable in a position to where you're not growing, you're not potentially meeting your potential, right? What you want, what you need, what your purpose is out of life. And so, yeah, granted, I'm going through RN school. Why make it even harder for myself? But that's the reason I went back, because when I was at post acute, we were doing a lot of things, RN related. And the teaching was great. It was not about the teaching or anything. You really do learn a lot at these long term care facilities that are hospital acquired, where they just need more care, right? They just need more care than they could in an acute setting, a 3 day, a 4 day, a week stay. Majority of our patients were there for months, and it just depended on what they needed. If they needed multiple things, they were there longer. And so, a lot of the things that I had learned there, I was like, let me go back and get my RNA because I'm already doing majority of the work, and not getting the majority of the pay. And so that really initiated me because I was uncomfortable with that. I was very uncomfortable. And so that made me step out, right? And so in the middle of our in school, right before that second semester, I switched jobs and I got in the float pool because I know pretty much, I don't want to say everything. Nobody knows everything, that's God, but I knew a lot. And so I was hired on as float pool because usually float pool, you know a lot, and you can handle yourself very well. It doesn't matter what floor. And so, I mean, I would go from the top to the bottom of that hospital, honey, just learning new things, learning and seeing how the RNs did their things, especially on different floors. The only one I didn't get to go to is the one that I wanted, and that was ICU. I even got to go to NICU, but I didn't get to go to ICU. And the reason for that is because they don't have any LVNs on the ICU floor. Now NICU they don't either, but LVNs can help if there's a shortage. We can change diapers, we can feed the babies, and they're so small, they're so little bitty. But that's why I didn't want to do NICU because they're so little. They're so little, and I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't want to see any little babies. I will pray for you, and I pray for them because that is a special job. That is definitely a purpose, and I look at it that way. I look at, where is my purpose? Where am I supposed to be? And so initially, when I came, I got in the float pool, and then our school, through what we do, also does clinicals at this hospital, and we had an opportunity to apply and try to get some new grad jobs. And so we went online. They had everything from A to Z, and of course, I applied to ICU because that's pretty much where I came from, right? Post acute, almost 2 years of critical care, long term critical care. And so, it wasn't just, having a patient for 3 days, it was having this patient for a week, seeing signs and symptoms, seeing if things had changed. And I loved that about my job because I knew my patients, right? I knew my patients. This wasn't having an RN over me type deal. These are my patients, and I need to call the doctor, and I need to figure out what this patient's need, and I need to order a CBC stat because something has changed. This patient you know, is not the same. And so I already had that instilled in me because, with the ICU critical care, there are, let me say, there's orders that, are already protocol orders. If you see changes in your patients, you will titrate drips up and down. You will make sure that these patients stay stable. And that's kind of what we were doing in the post acute area. I did not get critically ill, high out patients. simply because I did not have the knowledge, not the skill, but the knowledge in order to take care. But you need the two in order to take care of these patients, simply because someone can tell you what to do, but you need to know why. You need to know why and what to look for afterwards and all that jazz. So going through this year, I've definitely seen why I did not have the critical patience, but also just learning that knowledge to help me to understand what I now can do as an RN, because that was not what was holding me back. Skill was not it. It was the knowledge to be able to take care of these patients. And, but I do definitely recommend, just, a side note, I do recommend, being an LVN first, getting that little experience that you can get while making money is very beneficial for your purpose in life because, even if you start low and look high, that is okay. That's exactly what I did. I needed the money. I was not working as much and I was in LVN school. And of course, I could have made the 2 year and been fine because, I have a productive family. We are a godly family. God has always provided for us. And it's not necessarily about provision, He's just a God that provides. And so as I was looking, at my goal line, it was fine. It was fine to be an LVN. I made a lot of money, but it was based upon skill. Everything that I had done, even my traveling, I loved it, but I did not, go far off to do less. I did more. Wherever it was that God sent me, I was there for God first, and then, what have you, what have you. And so whatever they asked of me, I prayed. God, if this is your will, these things will be done. And they were done. At the end of the day, I was tired. At the end of the day, I had to drive 2, 3 hours home because a lot of times I wouldn't stay unless I had my partner in crime, my car, my CNA with me in order to stay with me in towns, that I had never been to before. But we would get local jobs, those, travel jobs together, and we would travel together, and I loved it. And I'm praying for you. Shout out to you, girl, because we're both living our dream. We're both going towards our goal. And I remember us, being in those hotel rooms, excited, waiting for our new journey. But it was a process, and it was like, excited to start over and get, do things the way that God had purpose in our life. But we just had to get through that moment. And so now here we are, 10 days left. And I had already had a interview. They had dates set up. They had a big old room where they had kind of like stalls where you went in to do your interviews. And then, so I went in, I was doing ICU and ED, right? And so I go in and they take my picture, and we have to get them our resumes. And so, and then I go and sit down at the table, and there was all ED, all ED, right? And I knew one because I love her. I go to ED all the time. I say I go to ED more than anywhere. In the past, I guess 5, 6 months that I've been there, it's about to be 6 months that I have been at this hospital. And she was excited, y'all. And I hated to bust her bubble. And it was nothing to do with ED. But I tell you to chase your dream because it is possible. Because it is possible. So I was sitting down, and immediately she was like, "Hey, Whitney." I'm like, "Hey, girl." Because they know me. I work hard. Anybody that knows me knows I work hard, especially if you work beside me. In the back of my mind, when I get a lazy nurse, a lazy RN, and Lord help me with this because I think you don't deserve me. That's what I say. And I don't mean you don't deserve me. I mean that everything that I bring to the table, sometimes I expect them to have at least like that same type of mentality, but there's nurses that just could care less. I'm not going to call no names, but there are just some lazy nurses out there, and I've worked with plenty of them. And when I graduate, honey, you won't see me being that nurse. I pray if I just get to that point that I see, just just send me to a job where it's 8 to 5. I can stay busier, whatever, what have you. You think 12 hours is a long period of time. It goes by fast, but at the same time, when you have a team, especially floors that have teams such as an LVN, it can go a lot smoother if everybody just did their job, right? If everybody just did their job. And so there's a few floors that I like better because the team works so well, to where one person isn't doing majority of the work, and then this person over here is just sitting down, eating chicken, watching YouTube, and doing whatever it is they do. Now, this is just a cohorts. This is just a peer. This is, I'm and this thank God I'm afloat because I was able to see, who truly really care about patients, and then who truly really cares about their job. Because for me, it's, yeah, I'm thankful to get paid, but it's about the patient. So anyway, so when I sat down, she was like, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you," and I was like, "Bring it down. I'm here for the ICU." And so she immediately got up, and right beside me, because there was three EDs, right beside me was, I believe, the manager over the floor. She had a white coat on, um, and a very lovely person, very great personality. And they asked me, what are some things? Tell me about yourself, is basically the first question. And I basically just told them exactly how I am. And I was just saying, I'm here for the Lord. Like, I literally do for God first, and everyone comes after that. And I recognize the calling on my life. So I'm not going to sit here and, give you a spiel that isn't true. I do things godly. I do things with a purpose. And I'm very strenuous on myself, one, because I know that I'm doing this for the will of God. And it's a calling in my life. It's a purpose in my life. And I was looking at badges while I was speaking. Everybody's just, like, just in awe. But I was noticing, like, these are all ED. And she was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "ICU." Right after we had finished discussing who I was, ICU. Well, this manager gets up. Oh, hold on. So, anyway, so the lady from the side of me, which was like, had the white coat on and everything, she just immediately got up. And she was like, "Let me get so and so and so and so over here." So she runs and go gets the ICU manager, because granted, they were all ED. And so he was in the middle of an interview, so we just had to wait a little bit. And then he comes over, and they're like, "Okay, we need you to start from the beginning." And so two of them got up. The lady that I knew, got up, and then the manager got up, and then there was one ED and one ICU. And she was like, "Just start from the beginning." So then I repeat myself, and I kind of just summarized it because, me, I talk a lot. And so, so I summarized it. And then we went through what I could do, what kind of experience I've had, why the ICU, y'all. When he said, because see, I was like, on pins and needles when he said that there was only one ICU position left open. Well, okay, in my class, there's like 24 students left. And of course, everybody and their mama wants ICU. And then there was other students that I did not, they don't go to our school, but they were other students graduating from Hope and things of that nature. And so people that were really close, they're about to graduate as well. In brand new RNs, ADNs, or whatever. And so, yeah, I saw other people waiting outside, people that are waiting to get in to do an interview, and the room was crowded. Um, but you could literally interview for any position that day. It just, what was it that you wanted? They wanted to see what you truly wanted. And I was not going to be like, "Oh, I did, say that ED was my second choice, but it's my second choice." And I did say that, I could interchange between the two. And because I'm a floater anyway, and floating is not a big deal to me, because one, I'm on my A game, and two, because if you're a good nurse, you're just a good nurse. And I'm not bragging on myself. This is just what I know. If you're a good nurse, you're a good nurse. There's plenty of other floats that I would see on different floors, whether it be LVNs, whether it be RNs, amazing nurses. Like they should be in float because they can pretty much fit anywhere and they know a lot and they retain a lot. And then you have some that are very lazy, very tired. Nurses that have been on the floor and they're not refreshed, and it's you could just see, that some people can't be float. You can see that some can, right? And so I didn't mind, saying that I can interchange between the two. If there were too many on in the ICU, I would gladly go to ED because I do. I love my ED, but I love ICU, and and listen, even my clinical instructors know I like ICU because at the end of each semester, first semester, I really didn't get a chance to kind of let them know, but they did ask us, where is it you guys would like to go? And I had grew fond of my first clinical instructor because she took so much. She paid attention to her students and she paid attention to what they liked. And she would put us to where we wanted. So that by that second semester, y'all, I was getting like 4 or 5 clinical days in ICU. And when I say I busted my butt, even if I didn't have a good nurse, and I'm not saying they were all great, but even if I didn't, I was like switching nurses because I pay for this. And I wasn't rude, I wasn't mean. Our policy there at the school is if you do not have a good nurse that is teaching or willing to teach you or willing to precept you in that day, you can come to the instructor. The instructor will give you another nurse that she thinks is whatever, whatever. Well, that was happening first semester. I mean, like, my instructor was like, let's go over here because some students say that they don't have much success. She wasn't mean. She was just like, much success. And we all knew what that meant because we're all nurses, and so everybody in this class are nurses already. We're all LVNs, and so we pay for what we want. We pay for what we want, and so anyway, so I was in there, drawing labs, starting IVs, doing tube feedings, anything that I could do that I was checked off on, and it got better and better because my last clinical day was in ICU, and I did not want to leave. I did not want to leave. I was like, we can just do this 12 hours together. And I still had to work. I still had to go to work, but I busted my butt in the ICU. I did everywhere else. Don't get me wrong. Y'all, when I say my clinical grades, they are scored 40 out of 40 by that second clinical day. Because see, they always grade me low. And when I say low, I say like a 38 because to me that's low. But by that second clinical day, honey, you better drop that 40 on there. You better drop that 40 on there because I dress up for success. I am very helpful and I do what I can do. If the nurse says, hey, we need to do this, this, and that, we're going to do this, this, and that. We're going to do that. And my whole clinical experience has been nothing but 40s, honey, because I don't play that about my clinical grade. Now, my regular grades are amazing. Knowledge is, why I'm here. I can do the clinical just fine because I was doing that at BSQ. Anyway, and so I was like, I just need to know that you know who I am. It is nothing, boastful or any of that. Like a lot of people look at the LVNs like they don't know anything. But it depends on the experience. A lot of people don't get the experience that I've gotten. And so I've been very blessed. So I'm telling him anyway, going back to square the interview. So I've gotten a lot of experience, but it was a damper to hear there was only one ICU position. And immediately I was like, well, who am I to get it? Who am I? There's so many other LVNs in here. There are so many people that have experience just as much as I do in regards to any of that. But I could, and I think this is where it really gets good. You want to at least express what you know, right? And so I did see drips. I did see art lines. I did see all kinds of things at post-acute that I didn't get to put my hands on them because I was not knowledgeable in those things, and I was not like certified. Let me say it that way, certified to do those things. There are plenty of things that I did, that was ICU worthy. because we were in codes like, I don't know what. And I was like, good night. We're just now getting reported on having to run codes on people, but this is just life. It just was what it was. And so, I'm just, presenting my case before the court. and so, and I was just myself. I said, listen, I was myself. Can I say that again? I was myself. I said, looks are great. Smelling good is great. I don't miss a day. I don't call in unless I have to. I haven't called in years. I haven't. I said, you'll call me before I call you because I don't call in. I have no reason to. I usually take off in a manner of time, whatever I need, I take off because I need money to pay my bills. I can't. And when I did this for Float, when I told her the same thing as far as I don't call off, you'll call me before I call you, she did not believe me. And when we had that first phone call of her calling me, let's just say, I told you. But what I'm saying all of this to say is, y'all, I got the position. It was 2 weeks later. Let me just say, it was like a week or so afterwards. And I'm sitting here waiting by the phone, going to work, walking by the ICU doors. I was like, I can't wait. I was just in my faith knowing that this is my job. But I think in the back of my mind, because all I thought was there's only one ICU position open, it's not going to be me. Like, of course, he's going to choose, someone that's more equipped, right? Someone that has moved from states, somebody that is contracting, that wants to stay at the hospital, that has more experience than me, that wants the ICU position. But when I got the phone call, she was so excited. She was just like, hey, Whitney, it's such and such. I just want to call about the offers that you received, right? So she goes, okay, so we received three. I only had two in my interview. She goes, the ICU, the ED, and the float pool. And I go, oh, wow, you could have stopped at ICU. And y'all, I cried. I cried. She was still talking. I cried. I was like, I cried because I knew the obstacle. I knew, especially the stigma on women and then the stigma on Black women. And, I always, look fresh and stuff like it's not that. But, there's a vibe in any area. I've definitely seen vibes in the ED, vibes in all floors, right? There's a vibe there. And I felt like I did not fit that vibe. And let me tell you, it was amazing for God to open that door because it wasn't the manager when I say I didn't fit that vibe. When I went to clinicals, there was people I clicked with and people I didn't, and so that's what it was. It was just I don't want it to seem like I'm not here to help you. I don't want it to seem like I'm not here as a team, as a partner in a team. Simply because we may not agree on every facet. We may not agree on every subject. But at the same time, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and I do it well. And so here it is that I've now gotten this position, I've gotten my offer, and I'm trying to hold this in, right? Because the next week is my birthday, and I'm trying not to share it. I'm crying. My husband's like, what is wrong with you? Like, you were just fine 5 minutes ago. But he was in the back room doing something when I got the call, so he had no idea what had just transpired. And so then I'm trying to get it out. I'm trying to get it out. And I was crying for like 10 minutes before I could even tell my husband. I said, your wife's an ICU nurse. Your wife's an ICU nurse. And when I say the stigma, when I say that God is so good, God is so good, I just cried every day that week, y'all. I cried because I just knew that's what I wanted to do. I was going to stick to my guns. I did not mind floating. I wanted ICU. This is the only thing that I have not properly been trained in that I know I can do well. I know I can be successful in. because I've already dealt with majority of what they're dealing with. If we're looking at a 100% level in ICU, I'm probably at 75. I'm probably at 75. I'm not going to even say 50 because there's plenty of things that I already know how to do that we've been doing at post acute that is certified for RNs. And so there's a lot of things I know how to do. Um, but it doesn't mean that I am like special in any way. I think all nurses are special, whatever floor you're on. It's definitely a purpose. Not everybody wants to go to ICU. Not everybody wants to. They're like, miss me with that. No, it's okay. But I'm like, ICU, say less. Say I. Say less. Because to me, that's my purpose. It has nothing to do with the status or, oh, no one because we hear it all the time in ED that that's as good as it gets is the ICU, because if they can't help you, who can? And no, but that's not, but we just say those things because, it's just is what it is. I mean, this is about as critical as it can get before we ship you off somewhere. And so, if our ICU can't take care of you, then we definitely take you to wherever you need to go. But I'm just saying, and so here's the thing: you usually get hired on at ICU in a specific level, whether it be CCU, CV, CU, um, CVICU, surgical. We do not have neuro at our hospital. We are a trauma 2. We're not a trauma 1. And so we don't have neuro there. And so there's med surge, there's surgical, there's CVICU, and then there's CCICU or CICU. Anyway, so you're supposed to get hired onto one of those. Well, we're not sure where I'm going. I'm not even sure, like, I know nights. He did say nights, and that's fine. That's what I wanted. I wanted nights. I will never go back to days unless we're training, unless we're orientating. That is fine. That's fine. Because I want to say I would rather train. Let me see how many minutes I have. I want to say that I will train during the day because I want you to know me. It's not necessarily that day shift is better, but it definitely is different than night shift. Night shift is way laid back. It doesn't really matter what floor you're on. Doesn't really matter what's going on. You don't have the stressors of patient's family, doctors, and then your managers coming in for things you need to sign, and mandatory meetings, things of that nature. You miss a lot of things on nights that you don't miss during days. Let me say that. And so that's the reason why I like nights better. My friends told me at post acute, they were like, if you go nights, you won't come back to days. And I believe them, and it just is what it is. So that's the only reason that I would love days, is for training purposes. Because I need you to know me. I need you to know that when I call, this is Whitney, she means business, like she really needs me, or she wouldn't have called, because that's just who I am. Like, I need you to know who I am when I call. I don't want it to be like, who is this? Like, who are you? And I've gotten that plenty of times because I never, during my float pool, I never trained during the day. So these day doctors did not see me. And, but those night doctors know me. I mean, they know me because I don't mind calling about medications. I don't mind calling about my patients, because there are people that sit there and don't do anything. So, me being the next one in line, I'm going to do everything I can for you that I know to do possible. And that's why I say sometimes these people don't deserve me, because I do a lot and I expect at least for you to do your job. That's it, period. Because we all came to work, we all clocked in. And that's what these patients, family, doctors expect us to do. Okay? Managers, okay? But I don't complain. I don't sit there and talk about people. I'm not that type of person. I just pray for you. But at the end of the day, it's really sad. It's really sad because if it was my family member, we'd have a problem. We'd have a problem. But anyway, so I just wanted to explain my interview. I wanted to just kind of give a little update on what's all going on. We are almost done, girl. I have my Honor Society rewards on this Thursday coming up, and it has been a joy. When I say it has been a joy, I cry when I come home sometimes because I'm so tired. But y'all, the purpose. Like people think I'm crazy because what all I have to go through. But at the end of the day, God is so good. I'm like, I can't sit down on God while He's opening doors and moving things out the way because it is all by faith. It is His mercy and grace. Every door that has been opened, everything that God has done, and I pray that I am in His will, one, and I know I am, but also in His will of doing all of this hard work for a purpose, right? Excuse me. So, what I say to those that are transitioning, because we're transitioning now, what I say to those that are wanting to get back into the school, whether it be BSN, whether it be MSN, what I potentially want to do is nurse practitioner at this hospital. So I will stay in the ICU for a long time, Lord willing. Except He delay His coming. I will be in ICU. And what I want to do is get my BSN and then from BSN to nurse prac and just transition slowly. I worked hard enough. Y'all have no idea. I want to get my accrediteds in the ICU. I want to move up in the ICU as well. I believe that will help me to be the nurse practitioner I want to be. And so I just pray y'all are being, understanding of the purpose, the timing. You definitely need timing when it comes to things like this, but also I just pray that those of you that are truly seeking out your purpose as a nurse, whatever it is that you want to be, whether it be med surg, whether it be RCU, whatever it is that God has for you, that you don't give up on it because it's hard. We're not here to take shortcuts. These are people's lives. And so when you come and pray to God on your purpose, believe Him and go with that. A lot of the people in the Bible had an issue with moving forward in God when He said, especially learning yesterday in Sunday school, Moses had a hard time believing that God had chose him to bring the people out of Egypt. And who can more equip you than God? Is there anybody out there? Is there anybody out there that could equip you more than God? And we learned that in Sunday school yesterday. And I thank God that, He calls us individually to something. You're not here to waste time. You're not here to be, a person in a seat. You're here to fulfill the purpose of God, the will of God. There's a lot of people out here sick. And I remember when I had first gotten saved, I wanted to be a healer. I was not a nurse. I was working at Walmart. I was an accountant. And I had done that for about 5 years. But God called me into a different type of ministry. People loved me at Walmart. Even when they see me, they're like, I know you from somewhere. And I'm like, it's probably Walmart. I look down. I'm like, it's probably Walmart. And they're like, you are that sweet, sweet, sweet soul. And I'm like, it's me. And they were like, you disappeared. Yeah, I'm a nurse now. And I love it. I love it. I love what I do. I was thinking healing in a different way. I was thinking miracles and all that. But when I began to study God's word, it was deeper than that. It was deeper than just physical healings. People need spiritual healings. I didn't know what God was requiring out of me, but He put that desire in my heart. You hear all the time in the scriptures where it says, God put that desire in my heart. That's what it is. It's a spiritual healing. Yes, I see people get physically healed, miraculous things all the time. And I know it's nobody but God. But at the same time, God has shown me that it's deeper than physical ailments. And it's spiritual attacks, whether it be trauma from your childhood, whether it be trauma with your parents, your spouse, whatever it is. God has shown me so much on this journey, and I couldn't replace that with anything else. And when he had first called me into nursing, like I said, I was already had been working for Walmart for 5 years, y'all. And to just stop everything and go back to school, that was very hard. That was very hard. I knew that I wanted to be an RNA, but I did not know how to get there. And I had to start with all science classes. And here I am thinking I hate science. But I think I was looking at lateral more just across the scale than I was thinking as far as like how you could use the science, because we use science every day. We use chemistry every day with medications, with diseases. And so I wasn't thinking of it that way. But anyway, God had opened my eyes so that I could see who I am, because God all calls us by name, but He tells us who we are as well. And so you need to be listening to God so that He can tell you your purpose. Um, Moses had plenty of chances to get it right, but he didn't make it into the promised land. He made it into heaven, I believe so, but he did not make it into the promised land. And the thing about that is his purpose was to get them to the promised land, and God was going to lead them. And along the way, the people were fighting him, the Egyptians were fighting him. He was getting a lot of opposition. And it didn't mean that God wasn't with him. God proved Himself each and every time by parting the Red Sea, by guiding them by fire and smoke. God was who He said He was, still is. But the problem with us as human beings, we can kind of be down on ourselves because one, we're not worthy, but two, if God called us to something, He can get us through something, right? And so a lot of the times we can be so down on ourselves to where we're not capable, we're not able, and it doesn't matter how much God gives us to get through that moment, we somehow give up. And when God tells us not to do something, because see, the issue with Moses was he kept breaking the 10 Commandments. He kept breaking them because these people were just like, they're not listening to you, God. They're not listening to you, God. But we never see what we're not doing. We never see what we aren't doing. We always look at someone else and blame someone else, right? It's somebody else's fault while we're not doing what we're supposed to do. Somebody else is in the way. If you just get them out the way, I'd be fine. But those are those ones that's going to test and try you. Those are the ones that's going to push you towards the purpose that God has for you. It may seem like they're enemies, and God may have them so close to you. You're like, why? They hate me. They dislike me, and they envy me, and all these things. And God is saying, push through. They're looking at you to be the light. You don't know what's inside their heart. You don't know what they've been through. Matter of fact, you've been over here for 40 years. And then before the 40 years, you were living in a mansion, almost the next to be in line is Pharaoh. So you have no idea what these people have gone through. Just do what I ask you to do. So not necessarily are we going to have nice patients, not necessarily are the family members just going to love us so much, but we don't have any idea what these people have gone through. I'm very apologetic because what if that was me? I've been there. I've been in a hospital bed for weeks. I think I was in the hospital bed about 2 years ago, 3 weeks. And, here I am. I'm in here encouraging others that weren't in the hospital because I love God that much and because God had gotten me through that moment. Why be bitter? Why be sour? Just go through the process. God is going to get me to a place where I will be okay. And now look at me. So God is about His business. We just need to be patient. And so I thank you for the journey, God. I thank you for everything that you are doing. I thank you that I can be an example to the people of God, and that no matter what, you continue to be with our family, whatever it is that comes our way, Lord. Help us to be prepared for a time such as this. I know it's a short period of time, and I know He's on His way back. I can just feel it in my spirit. And I'm just teaching and trying to show people the light, right? Jesus is the way. Don't look at me. Don't look at what I got going on. Don't look at, I can be a testimony to somebody. But at the end of the day, look at Jesus Christ. Pray. Talk to the Lord. Worship. Give Him all the admiration for everything that He has done for you, because He deserves the glory, not us. And every time that I am faced with any kind of obstacles or anything, I go to God. I know what my husband can handle. He can handle a lot. And I know I can't. I know I can't. And so I give it to God. Y'all, I just pray you have a blessed day. I thank you for listening to me rant. I pray this has blessed you. And kisses. And thank you for praying for me. And I'm praying for you. Until next time, happy nursing.